everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about the Ponzi scheme. What is it all about? Who was Charles Ponzi? What did Bernie Madoff do? And more. So without any further ado, let's get into it. What is a Ponzi scheme? The system is named after Charles Ponzi, an Italian conman, but more about the history later. The Ponzi scheme is a structure that often appears as a legit business model, but it is really a fraudulent scheme. Investors are promised a high rate of return and are told that the money will multiply as promised. Unfortunately, since the whole business looks trustworthy, people fall for it. In fact, nothing is done with the investors' money except that the people who run it are living the good life, spending it all. The scam works because investors usually don't withdraw money from the system when the return is right. For example, Bank A pays you 2% interest, Bank B pays you 3% interest. You're at Bank B. Are you going to switch now? Probably not. The scammer has a problem when many investors want their money back. With single payouts, this is not yet a problem. You can simply take the money from the other investors. Therefore, it is important for a Ponzi scheme that more and more people invest and money comes in regularly. However, if all investors want their money back at the same time, it doesn't work anymore. The promised return and the invested money are long gone. The red flags. High returns with little or no risk. Every investment carries some degree of risk, and investments yielding higher returns typically involve more risk. Be highly suspicious of any guaranteed investment opportunity. Overly consistent returns. Investments tend to go up and down over time. Be skeptical about any investment that regularly generates positive returns regardless of overall market conditions. Unregistered investments. Ponzi schemes typically involve investments that are not registered with the SEC or with state regulators. Registration is important because it provides investors with access to information about the company's management products, services, and finances. Unlicensed sellers. Federal and state securities laws require investment professionals and firms to be licensed or registered. Most Ponzi schemes involve unlicensed individuals or unregistered firms. Secretive, complex strategies. Avoid investments if you don't understand them or can't get complete information about them. Issues with paperwork. Account statement errors may be a sign that funds are not being invested as promised. Difficulty receiving payments. Be suspicious if you don't receive a payment or have difficulty cashing out. Ponzi scheme promoters sometimes try to prevent participants from cashing out by offering higher returns for staying put. Who was Charles Ponzi? Charles Ponzi was the infamous swindler who paid out returns with other investors' money. The Ponzi scheme is named after him. It is believed that he was born Carlo Ponzi in Parma, Italy. Ponzi arrived in Boston in November 1903. He later told the New York Times that he gambled away most of his money on the journey to America. In 1907, he moved to Montreal, where he found a job as a teller at Bank Zarossi. The bank was formed to cater to the new Italian immigrant population, charging high interest rates. When Bank Zarossi went bankrupt because of bad loans, Ponzi was left broke. He was sentenced to 3 years in a Quebec prison after he was caught forging a bad check. When he was released from jail, Ponzi got involved in yet another criminal venture, smuggling Italian immigrants across the border into the United States. This landed him in an Atlanta jail for 2 years. Ponzi returned to Boston, where he married Rose Gnecco in 1918. He worked various jobs, including at his father-in-law's grocery store, but none of those positions lasted long. It was during this time that Ponzi got an idea for the great scheme that would earn his name a place in history. He received a letter in the mail from a company in Spain that contained in it an international reply coupon, a coupon that can be exchanged for a number of priority airmail postage stamps from another country. Ponzi realized that he could turn a profit by buying IRCs in one country and exchanging them for more expensive stamps in another country. Ponzi's racket worked like this. He would send money to agents working for him in other countries who would buy IRCs and sent them back to the United States. Ponzi would then exchange the IRC for stamps worth more than he paid for them and sell the stamps. Ponzi reportedly made more than 400% on some of these sales. Not satisfied with running the profitable scheme on his own, Ponzi began to seek investors to turn even higher profits. He promised investors outrageous returns of 50% in 45 days or 100% in 90 days. Ponzi paid these investors using money from other investors rather than with actual profit. This is the very definition of a Ponzi scheme. him. Ponzi's manipulations made him a wealthy man. He reportedly made $250,000 a day. Ponzi's scheme began to unravel in August 1920 when the Boston Post began to investigate his returns. The investigation set off a run on Ponzi's company, with investors trying to pull their money out of it, so it collapsed. Charles Ponzi was arrested on August 12, 1920 and charged with 86 counts of mail fraud, owning an estimated $7 million. He pleaded guilty and spent 14 years in prison. His wife divorced him in 1937 and he died penniless in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil on January 18th in 1949. Bernie Madoff, taking it to the next level. Bernie Madoff had defrauded thousands of individuals, charities, pension and hedge funds out of their money. It wasn't until the 2008 financial crisis when many investors suddenly wanted to withdraw their funds. Madoff was long considered Wall Street's great financial genius, a successful securities trader and chairman of the Nasdaq Technology Exchange, and he ensured stable interest rates. For a long time, countless investors could not believe that he had deceived them, also because he was highly respected in society due to his charitable activities. However, according to investigators, Madoff never made a single one of the stock trades for his clients. Instead, he solicited fresh money from new victims and passed it on as supposed profits. Because of his reputation, many investors followed Madoff like blind sheep, following fresh grass in the meadow. He lured them with high returns. This worked well for a few years, and even the authorities did not figure it out because the system was so sophisticated. Subsequently, major gaps became apparent in US regulators, who had been repeatedly alerted. In 1999, for example, a whistleblower was ignored by the SEC for years. Madoff himself later claimed that his racketeering was only possible because financial institutions such as his bank, JP Morgan, deliberately looked the other way. More and more investors paid into the fund, which allowed Madoff to pay off the investors. The financial crisis of 2008 put a spanner in his works. Now many investors wanted to cash out their money. In the long run, of course, this does not work, and the Ponzi scheme blew up. He was convicted and jailed after his Ponzi scheme was exposed in 2009. He had pleaded guilty to 11 charges, including fraud and money laundering. Madoff had faked supposed dream profits for decades using money from new investors. In total, the damage amounted to about $50 billion. The sources vary. More than 4,000 people did not get their money back. For running the biggest Ponzi scheme in history, he was sentenced to 150 years in prison and died in 2021. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's little history lesson. Let me know what videos you would like to see next in the comments down below. Please give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more MLM content. Bye for now.